Hey guys, so I just arrived at the Intercontinental in Perth. I've just finished my journey from our hometown in Tembagapura, Indonesia, and I've made it to the day zero of the isolation. Actually, it's 1:21 a.m. I wonder if this is day zero or day one. I don't know. I'll have to find out tomorrow. But yeah, I've just arrived. Um, Quite a journey. So I started the journey, you know, 4:30 a.m. yesterday. Um, Went down the mountain um, from Tembagapura to Timika. There were strong COVID protocols in that area. The airport and all the buses and the modes of transportation were well COVIDized. Lots of social distancing and things like that. When I arrived in the Timika airport to catch my flight to Jakarta, there was, again, strong protocols, social distancing, forcing people to sit apart from each other. Guys were spraying down luggage with some sort of disinfectant and things like that. Took my flight to Jakarta. Took an air fast flight to Jakarta, and that was fine. Didn't have anyone near me, in front or behind. It's a company charter, so there wasn't many people on there anyway. But it was, that was a fine trip, no problem at all. Jakarta was kind of eerie. It was really eerie. It was empty, almost. Apart from a handful of people, it was basically empty. And for a country with 270 million people, it was pretty nuts to see. Very few flights, mostly Garuda Indonesia, which is the national carrier, so the Qantas equivalent type in Australia. So Garuda was still flying, lots of Garuda flights. So I got down the mountain, took the airfast flight to Jakarta, hung out there for a couple of hours, poked around a bit. There wasn't much going on. Then I took a Garuda Indonesia flight to Denpasar, Denpasar domestic, and that was pretty empty as well. There wasn't too much going on there either. I spent the night in Denpasar, which was okay actually. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it actually was, so I stayed at the Novotel, the airport hotel there. Again, strong COVID protocols, temperature checks, lots of face masks, lots of gloves, all that type of thing. Very few guests, maybe 3 or 4 rooms is my guess of how many were actually sold out. Oddly enough, I did see a couple there, a young couple who were carrying around a surfboard. I mean, they must have just been on a surf holiday or something, which I thought was extremely strange given it's like the 8th of April. I mean, this isn't the start of the COVID thing. This is quite a ways in and people are still taking surfing trips, but whatever. So I spent the night there, no problems at all. Came into Denpasar International, and that was, surprisingly empty again. I mean, these are some major hubs for Indonesia, and they were surprisingly empty. I knew they were going to be empty. Obviously, I knew there wasn't going to be too much going on, but for the most part, everyone was doing the right thing as far as the staff was concerned. And this is where I first started to see a little crack, a little chink in the armour, I guess, of the general public, is in Denpasar Airport. Probably Aussies, I guess. I don't know. But a lot of people not wearing masks and things like that, just flouting the rules, not being safe, I guess. I'm not sure what is going through people's minds. Maybe they think it's not going to happen to them or something like that. But, Denpasar's a hot spot. It's a high-risk location to be travelling through, so it was a bit odd to see that. Nevertheless, got through there, no problems at all. Picked up some duty free, and then made my way to the lounge. Hung out there a little bit, and then off to the gate. The flight from Denpasar to Perth was this evening. or last evening, whatever it is. Again, that was fine. Very few people, probably about 20 people in total on the flight. And when the cabin crew opened the doors, some Australian government officials or whatever came on and made an announcement over the loudspeaker. And we had a bunch of forms to fill out. They gave us a whole bunch of forms to complete there and then. And then, completed that, got onto the concourse and made my way towards the baggage collection. Before I did that, I went through the duty-free area, which was all closed. It was all closed. So hot tip for young travelers is get your duty-free at your departing. So for those that are coming through, get your duty-free at the departing location. Because nothing is open in Australia. Nothing. It's all closed. So we grabbed our stuff and we went through, the passport queue there, and that was no issue. They took your temperature and stuff like that, no problem. And then it got really serious. Like, we know Australia's doing a really good job at controlling the coronavirus, and you knew straight away in that airport why that was the case. I mean, there were seriously strict and stringent protocols in place. I had to sit down and have an interview with a police officer, or maybe it was like a border control officer or something like that. And he was, asking me questions about what I'm doing and where I'm going and blah, blah, blah. So we did this interview. This guy asked us these questions, and we went and sat down in all these separate seats so we could collect our luggage, and we're kind of waiting for the bus and everything. Probably took, 30 minutes or something to get the buses moving. We got a police escort, which was kind of cool, I guess. Streets were very empty. Not much out there, obviously. I mean, it was late as well. It's past midnight. Police escort, and then, we rock up to the hotel. So then we come into the hotel. So we roll up to the hotel. And it was a bit of a shit show, to be honest. Not too long of a journey. It wasn't too bad, but everyone's tired. Everyone's kind of grumpy a little bit and doesn't know what's going on. So we rock up, and there's a bunch of people. There's like a couple of cops, and there must have been 5 or 6 workers. And I thought it was really strange. None of them had masks on, not one. And it was weird. And they were all standing around in a group, and it's like, this is a high risk location. I mean, this is where you're bringing, the COVID's going to come in from the border, right? It's going to come in internationally. We're bringing all the COVID possible people into one location, into this hotel in the middle of Perth. And all of the workers are standing around with no fucking masks on. They're within arm's reach of each other, all having a good little yarn. And then we're starting to disembark, and then half of them actually whip something out. And I thought, do you not think you're at risk? Do you not think you're risking your friend or your colleague by just not having it on? And this is I believe 2 days after the World Health Organization has said, just put something on your fucking face. Just put a fucking whatever. Just put something on there. Get, a handkerchief, like a cowboy if you want. Just put something to stop that transmission between person to person. I thought it was really strange that these workers were just unprotected. They were unprotected. So anyway, I get my luggage and I get off the bus, and I'm heading in, and they're starting to take they're asking me, "Have you got any cigarette products or alcohol products?" Of which I said no. That is something. What have I got here? Fuck me. The selection at Denpasar was shit. Talisker Dark Storm, single malt Scotch whiskey. Need some fucking ice or something, or drink it neat or something. Get some goddamn water. Anyway, yeah, so I did have another bottle, so I checked that one in. I quickly whipped that one in my bag when I found out they were going to be doing alcohol checks. And then I came in, and the dude who was doing the alcohol checks, I was checking in my other bottle, which I got from duty free. And these dudes there were two guys there, they didn't have masks on. And I was just boggled by this. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is just madness. So I said to them, like, I don't give a fuck. I said, dude, what are you doing? Why didn't you have a mask on? Shouldn't you have something on your face? And this other guy was on my left, and he's talking to me about checking in as well. I'm like, why don't you have a mask on? These guys are standing right there. I'm like, this is a high risk location that you're in right now, and you don't have a mask on. Like, what's going on? And the dude looked at me and he was like, I know I should have a mask on. It's like, and then I remember reading something in, I don't know, one of the websites or something, like people were getting intimidated because everyone had masks on. I think these guys were asked to not wear masks as to not intimidate people coming in. It's fucking insane. Fucking insane. Anyway, got through that, come up to my room, checked in. It's now 1:40 a.m. So what time did my journey start? I can't even fucking remember. It's been a long couple of days. Plan for tonight is get some rest, wake up in the morning, do a deep clean. You know, it's funny because I've had a long journey from remote Indonesia. Okay, this is fucking far out there, middle of nowhere, remote Indonesia. And I've flown into Jakarta, and then into Denpasar, and then into Perth. And I think the worst I felt about the risk of COVID was, despite all of the stringent protocols in place and everything, was actually in here, in Perth. And I'll tell you what, it's the people. They choose not. There's something with Australian culture. We're embarrassed to wear a mask. It's really strange. In Asia, no one gives a shit. In fact, if you go to Japan, people, pre-COVID, people are wearing them all the time. If you have a little cough or whatever, that's, people wear them. Like sick people wear them. That's why they wear them, to not spread their flu or cold symptoms or whatever it is. So in Asian culture, it's just not a problem at all. So in Timika, in Jakarta, in Denpasar, everyone's just wearing masks and trying to do the right bloody thing. But in Australia, it's strange. So I was on the bus and there's like 8 or 9 people. 4 of them just had no protection at all. And these people have come from Indonesia. This is like the COVID hotspots, and they're doing nothing at all. There's this young girl, maybe not that young, so she's early 30s. She's sitting down at the front of the bus. Again, she's just come from fucking Bali. She's all tired and shit. She's sitting there rubbing her fucking eyes. I'm like, I just can't believe what I'm seeing. This woman is taking no precautions at all, which is exactly why the government's had to lock down, because there's just so many people who just flout the rules and don't do the right thing. In this country, maybe it's a cultural thing, I don't know, but it seems like the only way you can get compliance is to just force that rule onto people, and that's kind of what's happening now. Like, I'm being forced into this environment. If I was given the opportunity to self-isolate, I would do the right thing, but there's so many people that wouldn't, that the whole thing just falls apart. So the government's got no choice. You got to just lock everyone up. Look, there was another dude on the bus. He was coughing. Didn't sound like a very good cough to me. Maybe it was unrelated. I'm sure it was unrelated, but fucking hell, some dodgy shit going on. He didn't have any protection either. These people are just taking all the risks in the world. I don't know why. It's like they're not reading the news. Anyway, I'm going to bed. It's late. Talk later.